Hey, beautiful souls, beautiful sunshine here with the R Holistic Killer, aka Sonia B. I am back with a quick prophetic message that I actually received this morning. Actually, it wasn't a quick prophetic message; it was a long message. Anyway, so with that being said, I just want to say for those of you who are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome, and for those of you who are returning back, I want to say welcome back. Keep in mind that these energies could be happening right now to you, for you at this exact moment. And if they're not happening to you, it could be happening to somebody else that is around you. And it also depends on your location on the planet, whether you're in the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere. All of that plays a factor in when you will possibly experience this energy. And if you're not experiencing it, as I said before, then somebody else that is around you may be experiencing this energy. Anyway, so with all that being said, for those of you who do not know, I'm an intuitive, clairvoyant, Hoyoka empath who receives divine prophetic dream messages. I am also here to help translate messages from the spiritual world into the 3D world to help assist souls on their spiritual journey as our whole planet is evolving at this time. And anyway, so with all that being said, let's get right into the message. Okay, so the first message, it was just like, it wasn't weird, but it was just like all over the place. So it came in a form of, if it was three people who knew each other, right? Which is so funny because that third party card or celebration card kind of came out. Anyway, so I say all that to say it came in a form of three people who actually knew each other, okay? So these people knew each other like they were friends, associates, however you want to take it. And it's almost like they had plotted to do something together, and it was something that was against someone else's will. So I say all that to say it's almost like these people decided, like, hypothetically, the way it showed up in the dream, and just take it how it resonates because it could be different. The situation could be different for you guys' situation. In other words, the same situation but different scenarios. In other words, that's the way it came to me in a dream. And for you guys, it may appear differently. So I say all that to say these three people knew each other. They decided that they were going to plot, scheme, however you want to take it. And basically that they were going to go and kind of like, for some particular reason, it was two people's homes. They decided that they was going to try to go into two people's homes is what I saw. It was kind of almost like a breaking and entering, but it was like, again, they were plotting. And the way it came is they pulled up at the house. They parked their cars off to the side. And let me say this now. I'm not giving you this information to cause you to fear, because this information could be happening physically for some, and it could be happening spiritually for other people. So keep that in mind as well, too. So with that being said, they pulled up to the house. One guy went up to the house, and it's like he was checking out the scene and making sure, you know, nobody was all out in the openings, you know, and the other two stood back by the car like they was waiting for a signal for the guy to let them know, hey, come on. So the way it came to me was this person rode up on somebody's house, right? And then it's like all of a sudden this person had noticed that they were there. So in other words, they thought they was going to come to somebody's house, in other words, and that person ended up seeing, they was trying to be incognito, but this person ended up seeing them, which is a homeowner, excuse me. And then so with that being said, the other two guys somehow had went over there to see where their friend was at, to see what was going on with him, to see what happened to him, and so on and so on. So I say all that to say it switches scenes from them standing at the car to them going over there to look into where their friend was. But somehow when it switched scenes, they ended up inside the house. So inside the house, they was going through all these twists and turns throughout the house. It's like they were kind of running throughout the house is what I kind of saw. Like they was trying to navigate through the energy of inside the house of what was taking place. And then it's almost like they left one house and somehow they ended up in another house. Yeah, it was just really weird. Like somehow they ended up in another house that was nearby that house. So they left out of one house after going through all the twists and turns, and then they ended up inside of another house. So as they went into the other house, what had happened in there, I'm trying to remember as much as I could. Because normally in the middle of me having a dream, I wake up as soon as I'm done having that dream and I write it down. Well, this time I wrote the dream down as I woke up, you know, once my alarm had went off. So anyway, inside this next house that they went into, it was almost like the first house, some twists and turns and so on and so on. Well, it just so happened that they ran into the homeowner in this particular house. And this particular homeowner, he actually had a shotgun, right? And they didn't know that he had it. So the point I'm trying to make is, like, they went into a house not expecting to basically kind of get over on people is kind of what I saw. And it's almost like they thought they were going to enter into somebody's home, but it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. It didn't turn out the way that they initially wanted it to turn out. In other words, the plans didn't go as they expected. So the second house, they ran into the homeowner, and it was almost like one of the guys, now need I remind you, it's always seeming like one was by themselves, so this must be the corporate, the master plan, should I say. And then so in the second home, somehow they ended up in the basement. It's almost like the homeowner kind of guided them down towards the basement, or either they ended up in the basement, and that's where they saw the homeowner at, and he had a shotgun that was sitting like, but it had like a safety thing on it to where you couldn't just pick it up and think you're going to fire it off. You have to take the clip out, or it almost looked like a little padlock in between the little part where you pull the trigger or whatever the case may be, so you couldn't just pull it. And with that being said, it's like one of the intruders had thought that they was going to grab the shotgun. The homeowner knew that it was there. And need I remind you, they came into a home, but they weren't prepared themselves. So therefore, if they didn't have any guns themselves, or let's just say they wasn't prepared, is what Spirit is telling me. Thank you, Spirit. They wasn't prepared to go into that home. So in other words, it was poorly planned. So anyway, so one of the guys saw getting tongue twisted. One of the guys who entered into the home saw, actually I think they all saw it, because I only saw it from like one of the person's eyes. So this individual saw the gun sitting over in a corner, and they figured that they would try to grab it in a sense, but I saw that it had like a safety lock on it. So therefore, if the homeowner wasn't too worried about it, because he was the only one who knew how to take it off if he needed to, even in the midst of a struggle, is what I was kind of getting. So in other words, when a scuffle took place where one of the guys who intruded into the home, he thought figured he would lunge over at the sawed-off shotgun. The other two had ran upstairs, and they ran upstairs to a room, and they was afraid because they didn't know what was about to take place. And then, because they heard the scuffling taking place, and then as they were upstairs in the other room, I could hear like some gunshots going off, right? Like the sawed-off shotgun had fired off some rounds. And one of the guys in the room got scared. He became fearful. He didn't know what to do, and it was he became so fearful to the point that he opened up the window, right? And he was about to go out the window, to jump out the window. So in other words, he was going to leave everybody else, and even the guy who was in the room with him at the moment, because remember, his other friend is downstairs in the basement scuffling with the homeowner. So the next thing you know, what happened was, a few minutes later, the man's wife came into the room, and it's almost like the intruders had something in their hand, like they had it in their hand like this, like they was trying to hold it. And so the homeowner's wife had walked into the room. It was like a bag that she gave him. It was like a gray bag. And she gave like a grocery bag. She gave him a gray grocery bag, and it was almost like she was trying to tell him. She took there was some socks inside the bag. She took the socks out of the bag, and she gave him the bag so he can put whatever it was he was holding into his hand that he was trying to gather up from out of their home to take it out. She gave him a bag so he can put it in the bag. In other words, so he put it in the bag, so it was almost like he was standing there holding the bag. But then next thing you know, shortly after that, the homeowner, the homeowner had came upstairs. The husband came upstairs with the other guy, and it's like he came upstairs and he was so pissed off, and he was like, this is just the face that I was seeing in the dream, like he was looking like this. And I knew he was upset because he had to sit there and go through all that and experience the stuff that he had to experience. And Honestly, he didn't say it out loud, but telepathically I knew what he was saying in the dream, because I heard him saying we had to go through all of this and it was unnecessary, in other words. So if you needed something, in other words, is what he was trying to say, all you had to do was just ask rather than try to take a steal. So, and then at that moment he was pissed off, but then the other three guys, they end up leaving his house. So it's almost like they left on terms of the homeowner. It was almost like kind of forgave. What I got was, it wasn't so much that he forgave them, but he understood why they were doing it. So in other words, he was being understanding, because they was making that, they was perpetrating an act that could have possibly hurt, harmed, or injured someone. But luckily in that situation that it didn't happen that way, because one, he kept a calm, cool, collected mind, and I felt like, and I feel like spiritually he was prepared for what was taking place, so that he can be the how can I say it? What's the word, spirit? So thank you. So that he can have a positive outcome with the situation, should I say, where that way that everybody was able to walk away and nobody got hurt, harmed, or injured. So in other words, he didn't have to hurt, harm, or injure. Now he had to scuffle a little bit and he had to tussle a little bit, but he didn't have to hurt, harm, or end somebody's life in the process. So he was just pissed off about that, you know, to the extent. So with all that being said, the three guys end up leaving the home. They walked away from the home. As they walked away from the home, they was looking for their truck that they had pulled up in. Well, the truck wasn't nowhere in sight. So then one of the guys, they was looking for the truck, like literally they parked it on the street. And then so they didn't see it. So one guy said, no, we didn't park right here, we parked down a little further. And so they walked down a little, just a little bit, a couple of feet down, the truck wasn't there either. And then another guy said, he said, no, he said, we didn't park right there. He said, we parked up a little further. Well, anyway, they went up and they went back a little bit, and neither one of them saw the vehicle anymore. So I say all that to say that they end up walking up the street. But I noticed as they was walking up the street, they came to like a four-way intersection, right, where traffic and stuff was at, and other cars. And it was like these big ass, like, you know how they have big stones, like let's just say like one of my shopping centers that's near my house or whatever, they have these big stones that are in the shopping center or whatever, like really big, huge boulders of, you know, really big stones of that just sits there as part of their decoration. But anyway, so it was like these big stones that was sitting up on the four-way intersection, and they were on the sidewalk. And you know how like a development has a sign, let's just say it says let's just say that it says welcome to you know, okay, let me just say how they may have signs that say welcome to, let's just say Petersburg or whatever the case may be, and it's a sign, it has flowers around it, like in the neighborhood, but it's the neighborhood development sign, in other words. So there was a sign like out front. There wasn't a sign out front, but there was like these huge rocks and stuff, like they were just kind of, instead of the sign being there, it was just decorated like I don't mean to confuse you. There was just like these big rocks there in place of it, but I'm just trying to give you a pinpoint of where they're normally located at when you enter into a development. So these three guys, excuse me, they were hiding behind the rocks. Like they were ashamed of what they had just done, in other words. So they was hiding behind these huge rocks, like they didn't want anybody to see them, you know, after what they had just experienced. So that was one message. But the message that came through for that situation was, you know, some of you guys may find yourself in a situation, however it may be, and yes, it's gonna possibly feel like it's gonna be a situation that's gonna feel like some toss, some turns, and some, you know, like I said, the running through the house and running into different sections of the house, just trying to figure things out. It's almost like a way of figuring. Shoot. Sorry, y'all. This incense just dropped. Yeah, it's almost like you guys are just gonna be trying to figure some stuff out or whatever. So, you know, the key is to try to just remain, try to, you know, for some people, it may be a situation of somebody trying to enter into somebody's home. And like I said, the other situation is somebody doing something, trying to do something against somebody's will spiritually, should I say. But what they don't know is they about to be in for a rude awakening, because they're not going to get away with it, in other words. In the end, they're going to feel like, you know, they're going to feel some sort of shame. Not that anybody's going to be shaming them, but them themselves. It's almost like the karma behind what they did is going to cause them to feel that way. But anyway, that was one message. And another message that came through, and this one's kind of relating to, I know this seems like this energy is just, it's been kind of weird lately. Anyway, so this next energy is very important. Like some of you guys, I said some time ago, I know last year, probably around about this time, there was a message that I received where somebody was saying like, so we're not going to be able to eat. So we're not going to be able to eat. And for some people, that situation may be about to rise or whatever the case may be. And then there's situations of, let me explain the dream to y'all, okay? So the message came in like I was at a grocery store, right? And inside the grocery store, I knew that on my debit card, I only had $3 there, okay? So I remember I went into the store to purchase something, and I got into a line, not a self-checkout line, but a line where there was like a cashier, and he was, you know, helping me. So I knew to myself that I had $3, and I was hoping that whatever it was I was purchasing did not go over the $3, that I needed it. So I say all that to say that when he totaled it up, it came up to $3.24. I knew I was 24 cents over, and I thought to myself, like, I said $3.24. I don't have the 24 cents is what I told him. So I said, oh, wait a minute. Well, I forgot to put in my bonus, what do you call it? Your you know, when you punch in your phone number and you give you a discount. I don't even know why they even punch in a number, because sometimes that don't even give you a discount, you know, to be honest with you. But well, some stores it does, but some stores it just seems like they collecting data. But let me stay focused here. But anyway, so it came up to $3.24, and I told the cashier, I said, oh, hold on. I said, I forgot to put in my bonus card so that it, you know, can take off any points if it is discounted. And then he said, well, hold on. And he had to go get the manager, I guess, because he was new or whatever. So he had to go get the manager because I guess he didn't know how to do that after he had already totaled it up. And then I was trying to punch in my number to get the discount. So he said, hold on. Excuse me. So after he asked me to hold on, he went to go get some help. And as I was standing there waiting in line, I had saw a couple that was to the right of me. And they was in the line next to me, and the cashier was helping them over in another line, right? And then so next thing you know, for some particular reason, there was like a container that was sitting on like this counter near the checkout counter, and it was kind of like this in a sense. It was kind of like this, but it was plastic. And it was plastic, and it had like some juice in it, like a little bit of juice residue that was left over. So you know how like you let's say you pour solution into a smoothie machine, and then the machine is full, and then you have a little bit left over, and you sit it down, and let's just say you got sidetracked and you left the container there, and you walked away, and it's still sitting there. So it was kind of something like that. Like the container was left there, but then I went over to the container and I was about to pick it up and drink it, right? And then I heard the lady who was in the line next to me, the husband and wife who was in the line next to me, I heard her saying something about something being her cup. And I was like, her cup? I was like, what's she talking about? I was like, is she talking about this cup? So as I was about to drink it, I end up putting the cup down because I heard her say something about something being her cup. And I thought she was saying that was her cup. Anyway, so with that being said, that was the end of that dream. So that was just letting me know that some of you guys may find yourself, either you, and if it's not you, it could be somebody that is around you, within your vicinity, or somebody you may know that may be possibly experiencing this. some people are about to fall on hard times in regards to money. Let me say that. And I already kind of see it happening. Some people about to fall on hard times in regards to money. And I say that to say that some people are going to have a hard time with trying to feed themselves, or, you know, just with trying to feed themselves. And yeah, they're really going to have to be mindful of what they're using their money on. And again, it just came in a form as that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that may be the situation for some of you. It just simply may mean that you have money, or what money you do have. It's almost like you're going to be thinking of ways to try to make do with what you have. And it's almost like, I heard the word earlier this morning, like when I was taking a shower, and it said living a simple life. A simple life. Just being simple. You know, so in other words, it's not going above and beyond. It's just simply living a simple life. In other words, only buying what you need. In other words, if you're going to make a dish, and if you know that your money is kind of low, you only going to buy what you need to make that dish in order to make it last, in order to stretch it, or whatever the case may be. So again, take it how it resonates, because like I said, it's going to come in a different form for, you know, different people. But and if I could just be honest here for a minute, and those are the end of the prophetic messages. But if I could just be honest here for a minute, oh, thank you, Spirit. I almost forgot too. It was almost like being in line and seeing myself kind of trying to drink out of that container of getting something to drink, and as well as trying to buy something at the store and didn't have the money to do so. That was just letting me know that what I heard Spirit say, it was almost like falling from grace in a sense. And I thought to myself, fall from grace. I was like, that's the same thing that I had experienced, you know, and that was like almost 4 years ago. So, and I say all that to say, actually, as a matter of fact, January 30th will be the exact day that it was like 30th or 31st, one of the two, will be the exact date of experiencing that, feeling like I fell from grace 4 years ago. So I say all that to say that some of you guys may find yourself, I don't know, and if you've been feeling like something, like something's about to change and you don't know what it is, you know, for those of you who have been, how can I say it? For those of you who have surrendered, let me just say that. For those of you who have surrendered and you have already absolutely experienced this situation, this message isn't for you. It's for those people who have not experienced this situation, who have not experienced this situation. You know, and only take this message as it resonates. Please don't take the message and take it as your own if this is not something that, you know, you feel like is, if you feel like there's something coming for you and you're not exactly sure what it is or whatever the case may be. I just wanted to tell you that, because I don't want you guys taking on something that, you know, is not yours or whatever the case may be. But anyway, but again, this is not meant to bring fear. It's just meant to make you aware. But anyway, I say all that to say, like, I can give you a quick example. Like 4 years ago, or almost 4 years ago, I feel like I had fell for grace. I felt like my world was turned upside down. I felt like I was just here. I felt like I wasn't in control of things. I felt like I didn't have any say so. I just had to go along with Spirit and how Spirit was moving me. I felt like a rag doll, to be honest with you. And some of you are about to experience that, you know. But I say all that to say, it doesn't have to be. Okay, let me say this. So the other day, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I heard the song by Janet Jackson, right? And I don't know the name of the song, but it's the song, "It's funny how time flies when you're having fun." So it was that song, right? Spirit brought that to my attention. It was like, you know, it's something about, for those of you who have Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Thank you, Spirit. So here's what I'm saying. For those of you who have been uptight, who have been very uptight, who have been just like this, trying to control things. And it's almost like Spirit's been trying to get you guys in a habit of just kind of releasing control and releasing the situation and releasing outcomes and just going with the flow. You know, when you constrict, you constrict in the energy. So therefore, things can't flow. But when you just flow and allow things to flow through you, whether it be the emotions, whether it be the feeling, whether it be the situation, you can get through it much easier. But when you do this, you're just making it much more harder for yourself. So I say all that to say it's like I was just choosing to be led, kind of like riding on a cloud of spirits. You know, they was just holding me up and I'm just like going, you know. But anyway, so I say all that to say it wasn't a fun place to be in, but it's what you make it. And that song had came through a few days ago and it's saying, again, it's funny how time flies when you're having fun. So in other words, if you try not to take the situation too seriously, but yes, seriously enough to the point of you focusing on what message Spirit is trying to convey to you, and just paying attention to that, and just realizing your actions going forward, but not beating yourself up, not being harsh on yourself, but just realizing that yes, we've all have made mistakes in some sort of way, whether we done something, said something, you know, to someone, and we did the best that we can do at that moment with the information that we had, you know, including myself too. I'm not off limit to this. You know, everybody's going to handle everybody, you know, there's good karma. I'm not going to say there's good and bad karma. There's karma to be karma. If you sow good karma, you get good karma. If you know, if your intentions weren't good, and, you know, those are the intentions that you get back in return or whatever. But anyway, so with all that being said, let me just go ahead and wrap that message up. So I just wanted to let you know that Spirit was just letting me know that, again, some people are going to be kind of falling on some hard times, and it's a two-way street. So it's almost like God wants you to almost have, God wants you to be almost like, what's the word? God wants you to be understanding. Want you to be understanding, but create boundaries at the same time, if that makes sense. In other words, you have boundaries, like that homeowner, he had boundaries, but at the same time, he understood where they was coming from, because it could have been at just a point in time in his life where, maybe he may have been on that same road. So therefore, he couldn't really be too mad at the people, because, you know, now he understands he understands how they what they're experiencing, because he himself may have experienced something like that as well too. It's almost like extending somebody grace. Thank you, Spirit. Extending somebody grace in the process. Hold on, y'all. Anyway, I got a few cards real quick. Let me pull a couple cards for you. See what Spirit has to say in regards to this. What messages do you have for the collective? What messages do you have for the collective? What messages do you have for the collective, Spirit? What messages do you want the collective to know in regards to these prophetic messages? What message do you want them to know? Sovereignty. Is there any more messages? Ooh. The masculine. And I just said resistance. I just said that. The bottom of the deck is discernment. Gotta know when to let go and when to go with the flow. Whatever it may be, if you're trying to hold on to something or if you're just trying to control something. What other messages do you have for collective? So God, I know definitely what I'm saying here, Spirit is trying to, you're meant to be a sovereign being, sovereignty being. It's almost like the masculine energy of each and every one of us that wants us to get to the point of being more free rather than resisting. Whew, the karmic trend. Just said that, right? The karmic cycles. Thank you, Spirit. All right, so some of you guys is just looking at all the stuff that you have just sat there and accumulated. And you're asking yourself, is it worth it? And that's that energy that you're getting back in return for all that. It's the energy that's coming back to you, which is the same energy that you sowed. Anyway, so let's see what this karmic trenches, excuse me. 4 scrolls. Four scrolls. These aren't in number order, y'all, so y'all gotta bear with me. They're in sections. Anyway, so the karmic trenches. In a field meant to be planted, a man dirty from his efforts stand knee-deep inside a long trench. The seeds wait to be planted, yet he continues to dig deeper and deeper. There are other rows plowed and ready for planting, but they are ignored. The card reveals a difficult pattern in your life, a pattern of self-defeating feelings, thoughts, and actions that you've brought forward from previous incarnations. And I talked about that the other day. Your return to this life with the intentions of breaking this karmic pattern, but you got pulled into the old thoughts and behaviors. You've been digging yourself deeper into a karmic trench that gets harder and harder to escape. This pattern is not unknown to you. You recognize it in your relationships, in your jobs, and certainly in your beliefs, behaviors, and your response. It's time to take charge of your karma by altering the inner feeling and patterns that cause you to make sabotaging choices. Every time, hold on, y'all. Every time you notice yourself making an old choice that digs you deeper into your karmic trenches, you can change your mind and your actions. This will require your conscious efforts every step of the way. Without such work, you could go lifetime burying yourself into the same feelings, but with your commitment to making changes every day, you can dig yourself out. And I know for me, yesterday, I just told myself, because I know for me, the information that I know, the information that I receive in regards to just knowing like how certain people have been trying to tap into other people's energy to see what it is that they got going on. Just honestly, I call it being spiritually nosy when, like I be telling my, when I have a conversation with my daughter, and I was like, life is already hard. Why the hell do I want to worry about what somebody else is doing in their life and what they got going on? And I'm trying to make shit happen for myself, So I say all that to say, I don't got time to be worrying about what somebody else is doing or whatever. Like, why would you? I personally would not even want to be trying to tap into somebody else's energy to see what they got going on. Really. Because the truth of the matter is what's for that person is for that person, and that doesn't mean that it's for you. So in other words, if something may seem that something is happening for you at that moment that it look like it's good, and I'm going to give you a classic example. Thank you, Spirit. So I told you guys, and I don't want to keep going on about the situation in regards to my neighbor, right? But I told you she was trying to do that to me. She was trying to see what spiritual gifts and stuff that I had going on, and she was trying to tap into my energy until she realized that she had this. Thank you, Spirit. This is almost like the same exact message that had happened to me, but except it's almost like she she was trying to come into my house spiritually to see what I had going on, but she couldn't make it in my house spiritually, so she thought she'd do other ways, but anyway, I say all that to say, and I'm using this as a testimony, and I'm not using this as a gossip session, but I'm using it to tell you exactly the message that I gave in regards to the prophetic message earlier when I talked about the 3 people trying to intrude into the person's home to see what they had, going on or whatever. And the man was pissed off because we had to go through all that when you could have just asked. I say all that to say that that's exactly what, she was trying to do to myself. And then when she couldn't get to me, she was trying to go through my daughter to do the same exact thing, right? And then so my daughter blocked her out as well, too. So I say all that to say, and again, these are just lessons that we had to learn in order to learn how to protect ourselves spiritually as well, too. But I say all that to say that, what was I about to say? Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. But I say all that to say, it seemed as though, like, I was like, Lord, why is this woman sitting up here trying to worry about what it is I got going over here, what it is that I'm trying to do or, build for myself or whatever the case. Why? I don't even understand these people. Why? Why are they so spiritually freaking nosy? Like, seriously. And I say all that to say, and then it seemed like she was creating a business for herself where people was coming past her house and they was picking up stuff. And I'm trying to tell you something. So just hear me out, please. I hope you're watching this to the end. So I started seeing people, she must have been trying to try a business online or whatever the case may be. Or she was trying to do something to the point that she had people coming and going towards her house and so on and so on, picking up stuff. She had a container sitting outside for them to get the stuff that they paid for, and she leave it outside the door and so on and so on. So it really seemed like she was about to start, like prospering in a sense. And I'm like, Lord, help me understand. Like, seriously, like, I'm confused here. You're going to allow my enemy to like really like after everything that I've been through, like I didn't understand. But then God kind of like ignored me a little bit because he's like, you just being a little too emotional. Just, I got you is what he was trying to say in so many words, right? So as time went on, I'm sitting up here thinking to myself, I let it go. I didn't even worry about what she was doing anymore. It's not that I was worried about what she was doing. What I was saying was I've been sitting still for almost 4 years now trying to develop and build something here. And I was like, really? You allow this woman to try to come in here and try to spiritually take something from me? And then I turn around and see her having clients and so on and so on. But It wasn't the fact that I was envy or anything, it's just for the fact I was like, why is it that you make it seem like you're allowing the people who do wrong to be prosperous? I'm confused. But anyway, but I was taking it to a personal. God was like, girl, sit still and be quiet and deal with your emotions, right? So I sat still, and when I went and walked my dog, I just tried to ignore what I was seeing, and, so on and so on. But in due time, God was revealing to me, it was this one particular dream that I had. And this is the one right to me leading up to the fact of me saying something to her. It was this black lady who had appeared in a red coat, right? So, of course, when we see red, sometimes we think that it represents the devil or whatever the case may be. But there was a black lady that appeared in a red coat. But for some particular reason, it's like, that moment things had changed, because it's like she was a client of hers in the dream, right? And then all of a sudden after that, it's like I didn't even see. I started slowly but surely seeing her clientele like slacking off, in other words. And then, it's almost like, so let me give you a quick little revelation here. People can shapeshift spiritually into animal forms, should I say. And I had to experience this as well too, and this is going along with the same message. So I say all that to say, when her business started drying up, right, it's almost like she was trying to see what it was I was doing over here. She couldn't come into my home. She couldn't come in through my daughter or whatever. My son was spiritually protected. And I say that to say, because my daughter, she's, young in age. So God was just taking her through a spiritual training too as well. So it was to the point that I basically put up a screen protector on my patio so people can't, look up, because my patio is like, the neighbors to the left and the right of me, they don't have patios. So I'm the only one that have a patio. And it's like, it's probably like, it's only 3 houses on my road, which is probably like 7 houses that have like a patio or whatever. So I'm one of them. So therefore I can see into their backyard, but they can't see into mine unless they're standing at their windows, but they don't have patios. So I say all that to say, I put up a screen protector on the patio. So, that if they're in their backyard, sometimes they have company, and I don't want them looking up, towards the window or whatever. Up towards my patio to see what's going on or whatever. So in other words, I was spiritually as well as physically blocking each and every one of them out, right? So, and then one day, I had a dream, right? And then God had told me in my dreams, he was like, check the patio. And I thought to myself, I got up to go use the bathroom, and God was like, go check the patio. I said, okay, I'll check it in the morning. I was like, it's dark outside right now. And then, so next thing you know, when I woke up that morning, my daughter told me, she said, Mom, she said, there was a raccoon on my patio. I was like, what? I said, for real? I said, it's funny that you say that, because God had told me, check the patio. And I said I would check it in the morning, and I wasn't going to forget. But, she brought the conversation first. So, and then when she said that, it was like, this was the day after, I believe, when she had called the cops or whatever, and they came and knocked on my door, and I had a conversation with them, and, just basically explained to them, yeah, like, she needs to stay over on her side, mind her business, and stop worrying about what's going over here. And, don't be rolling up on my son like that, and so on and so on, because I don't do that to her daughter. But I say all that to say, I think it's was it the next day? Either the next day or that night, she had used an animal spirit to come up on my patio now. Because need I remind you, I specifically put my patio umbrella down, and I put the little stand, which is a cement type stand, and I pushed it over to the corner so that nothing could, kind of come up. Well, lo and behold, I get up the next morning after my daughter had already told me there was a raccoon on her patio. I said, how you know? Did you see it? And she said, yeah, because she said, I heard something out back. I had this little swimming pool on the deck that was for my grandson, right? And I turned it upside down, but because it rained a few days before, there was some rain inside the pool. But then we left some slide-on shoes out on the patio. So the raccoon was taking the shoes, the little Adidas flip-flops, and was dipping it into the water and trying to chew on it. I was like, really? Because that's what my daughter was telling me when she looked out the window, because it was dark. She said when she looked out the window, I said, well, how could you see? She said she took the flasher on her camera and she shined it outside. And she saw that the raccoon was dipping a flip-flop in the water. And then next thing you know, the raccoon, I think the raccoon put his hand up like this, and then she put her hand up on the patio like this, or whatever the case may be. And I was like, no, why don't put your hand up? Is what I told her. But anyway, so I say all that to say, and not only that, but I had this symbol, right? That I had this symbol, and that raccoon was the only thing that would have possibly seen that symbol, right? So, and then the very next day or 2 days later, I saw the neighbor putting up that same exact symbol in her yard. And I was like, ain't that a bitch? So God was confirming to me how she was shape-shifting through this animal spirit so that she can try to see outside the patio window what was kind of going on, or, you know, just any clue of idea of having to see what she can find out, should I say. Just, I mean, I was just like, wow. I was like, I'm telling you, this year has just been a lot. So just to know that, you know, I was like, wow. Most people know this. Most of us don't know this, you know, for those who do not know, and, you know, like myself at once upon a time. So I just try to share the information and share the knowledge with y'all. So make no mistake, people can do, you know, things like shape-shifting to animal spirits. You know, that's how a lot of Native American people, you know, would get their information, you know, and so on and so on. But and I'll say this, you know, I believe they would do that in regards to spying on like the enemy, to just kind of seeing what their tactics were or what their plans were next. But if you're doing it to the point that you just, I mean, I understood their purpose for doing it, but doing it to be nosy because you're trying to benefit off other people because you don't want to do the work. So, let me just say this. Let me be understanding, because I understand where she's at. Because right now, she's almost like, how can I say it? Let me just say that as of right now, I don't necessarily feel bad for anyone. I would just say that I hold space for people. In other words, I'm not going to say that I hate anyone, because that ain't the case. I don't like what I had to go through. But had I not went through, I wouldn't even know what to expect. I wouldn't even learn the information that I learned. But, you know, on the other hand, it's just like, I don't have no ill will towards anybody. Just leave me alone and you'll get left alone, in other words. So I say all that to say that, you know, it's just been situation after situation. So if that is any help, I just, you know, wanted to share that with y'all. So you just have to know how to, sometimes we just got to learn to let go. Anyway, let me read this sovereignty part. I know I'm just all over the place. So I read the karmic trenches. Let me show it to you again. So God is trying to get some of you guys out of the trenches, and some of you guys just keep digging yourself in it further and further. But whatever it may be for you, because I know everybody's situation, everybody's experiencing something different, whatever lessons it is that they need to learn. Sovereignty. You have sovereignty over your own life. Act with grace and confidence. You have the ability to unite desperate people and ability to unite desperate people and views should you choose to do so. The buck stops with you. So in other words, don't let people run your life. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to empower you, because I said on my channel, I just try to make people aware of, you know, claiming back their power, because I know myself, I had to reclaim back my power from whether it be from different family members, whether it be from a spouse, whether it be from, you know, just people out here in general, you know, like just people out here in general, people who had been trying to take advantage of, and me not knowing it at the time, you know, but knowing the information that I know now. Goddesses of the moons are one of the oldest kinds of feminine divines and features in mythologies from almost every corner of the globe. From Diana of ancient Rome and the Greeks of Artemis to the Semitics, Ashtoreth and Hina, oh God, From Polynesia, the links with the feminine divine and the lunar planets and cycles is a strong one. The goddess in all their myriad of forms were extremely powerful and demonstrate to women that they naturally had power as well. We should strive to be the powerful queens of our own domain. Whether you are man or female, it doesn't matter, because we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. You know, you don't need somebody else telling you what to do. You don't need to ask somebody else, what should you do? You know, if you have to ask somebody else, what should you do? You're giving them your power. Where else we're at? We should strive to be powerful queens of our own. Oh, I already read that. To be quiet and to hold a very twisted kind of service that borders. Let me read that again. Women especially have been socialized to defer, to keep small, to be quiet, and to hold a very twisted kind of service that borders on certitude. While in many first world countries, women can choose to be what they wish to be on paper, women still experience inequalities in most countries and in areas such as wages, disparities, and an imbalance of the numbers of women in government or in high-level border positions. However, what has been accepted in the past is not what will be accepted in the future. A new queendom is coming. And this was just taking place with the whole shift that we have going on. However, what has been accepted in the past is not what will be accepted in the future. A new kingdom is coming. When we reign over our own lives, it is us that takes on the responsibility for our own changes and decisions. So in other words, again, you don't need to ask somebody else to do something. You know, you take control of yourself. I give you a classic example. Like, I have to have a conversation with my son's teacher, right? He homeschools, but I still have to, not teacher, his guidance counselor. I have to have a conversation with her because 3 weeks ago, I think, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, I think it was, she reached out to me and she said, hey, you know, with such and such will need to take like this class, but you know, it's up to you if he takes it now or if he takes it later. So I told her, I said, well, you know, could you please find out whether, you know, what days the class are, how many hours it's for, and so on and so on. Because right now he already has a lot going on in regards to homeschool. In regards to online learning. So I say all that to say, she was like, oh, well, you know, I have to make a decision now. But she said, you can always go back and change it. So I had to call her yesterday. I never got a phone call back. Well, she did email me, but then now she's telling me something different. So now I called her this morning. Now I'm waiting for her to return my call because I have to have a conversation with her. Because initially she had told me that if he signed up for the course, that he can always go back and change it. Now she's trying to make it seem like he can't change it. And I'm going to have to let her know, look, I don't know what y'all going to do, but he's not taking that class. And it is what it is, because I asked him what he wanted to do, and he chooses not to want to take that particular class. So he needs the class, but he doesn't need the class. But they just said something about it 3 weeks ago. So therefore, it's almost like she thinks she's trying to lock me into a decision, but she's not going to do that, because I understand my power, and I understand that, you know, things can always be altered, in other words. So in other words, if 3 weeks ago, if he wasn't taking that class, it can be 3 weeks from now, and he still's not going to take that class, as an example. But anyway, so I'm sorry, let me finish reading. What was that? The Moon Queen knows that we just under the divine are our own rules, and as such the buck stops here. Therefore, it is worth us investing in growing our own self-awareness and our own self-trust, self-care, and self-esteem in real and practical ways. We must, as any queen would, set firm boundaries to protect our kingdoms and those who are under our protection. This does not mean we become cruel rulers. We should always aim for benevolence, fairness, and a great love for all as well. as well as ourselves. It does not mean that we may have to push against those who do not respect our line in the sand. So again, I'm going to have a conversation with her. I don't have to be rude about it. I'm usually never rude about it, but I just give them something to think about. But at least I don't think I'm being rude about it. I don't know how they perceive it, but I hope I'm not being rude about it. But anyway, so I say all that to say that, I have to have a conversation with her because, initially I told her to make sure she checked before we sign up, because I didn't want it to be a situation that we sign up and you couldn't unsign for it. And then now she's kind of telling me that. So all because she didn't fact check in the beginning. So that's not my issue. That's an issue that she needs to deal with. So she's going to have to handle that. But I'm giving it back to her to deal with because I initially told her to check before we even signed up for it. As an example. So anyway, but again, God's trying to get you to stand into your true sovereignty. Let me read this 42 real quick in this resistance card, and then I'm out. It is time to step forward and lead. Be the leader of your own life. 2 times now here. You have more power than you think. It is time to formally learn more, enroll in a course, or learn a new skill. Offer your protection to someone weaker than yourself. Take steps to improve your health and vitality. May the positive attributes of the masculine align with me. That's an affirmation that you can say to yourself. May the positive attributes, of the masculine align with me. While lunar gods are rare, usually their rims are the solar. They are conspicuous when they appear. The Australian Aborigines deities of the Wamra, oh God, forgive me for saying this, Wanrusha tribe, I'm sorry, please forgive me, encourages us to observe the laws of the land and to appreciate the beauty around us. Basnia is depicted with having big eyes and no mouth, teaching us that sometimes beauty does not need to be spoken about, just witness with the eyes of our head and of the heart. The Norse god Maina, if I'm saying that right, the moon itself, forgive me if I'm not, teaches us to be wise and about the passenger of time. The Mesopotamian sin shows us how to ask about the future, how important it is to protect the weak. There are many more. The traditional positive attributes of the masculine, such as strength, physical vitality, power, or will, shield, and protection of the weak, are important for anyone to adopt, no matter their gender or orientation. Should you pull this card, it is asking you to step up into your power, your uniqueness, and offer your guidance to those who may need it. Compassion stone, mental black opal. So God is calling some of y'all to stand up to protect the weak. Last card, resistance. See what message we got here. And I'm not going to even lie, y'all. There have been some things I have been resisting on too that God had revealed to me yesterday, and so on and so on. Like I told you, just eat that peanut butter and jelly sandwich yesterday as a symbolism, It had given me myself some revelation as well too. So, make no mistake, in certain areas of my, don't think that anybody sitting up on this platform, including myself, not saying that I have all T's or I's dot crossed, but unfortunately, because I'm behind the camera and I'm up on social media, it's almost like you're seeing my changes in the making. In other words, where I see people's changes, but it's spiritually, but I don't know unless somebody's commenting on what, they got going on, or unless, somebody's actually sharing their story, or, a lot of times when I'm out and about, I don't say too much to people. I just keep a closed mouth and I just watch, pay attention, and observe, what's going on around me. Anyway, resistance. Familiarize, with yourself with how resistance manifests for you. The avert and the avert. If you continue to have doors slammed in your face, turn around. There will normally be an open door. Procrastination is just another kind of fear. Move forward with confidence and persistence. And our affirmation is, I flow through resistance and I am in control. There are two kinds of resistance. The first type we encounter when we keep getting obstacles placed in our way or our way is blocked. So if there's obstacles in the way or we feeling blocked. But no matter what we do, it doesn't happen. This is external or overt resistance. Covert resistance, which occurs when we say that we really want to do or complete something but feel resistance not to, is somewhat sneakier. All forms of procrastination fits in here. Writer's block begins in a classic example. When we want to do something but get distracted and don't do it, or we just seem to engage our will enough that it converts resistance. When we want to get rid of a bad habit, an addiction, an old pattern, in fact, anything that we are thinking of releasing for the dark moon, and feel resistance in doing so, we have a big dose of convert resistance. We must battle the second kind of resistance like we would battle a crafty and terrible enemy. We must raise our shields and sharpen our swords and have a strategy to remove the resistance. In fact, we must flow through it. It's a battle we might have to fight more than once, but we will be resilient and vigilant in fighting it. We will. For when we win, and we will win, the rewards are great. Why do we resist the things that we say we want? Say that again. Why do we resist the things that we say we want? Sometimes we don't really want those things. Most times though, we are frightened about what might happen if we do get what we have asked for. What will people think? And that's, again, we got to get out of the habit of what people think. I went through this at one point in time where I really cared about what people think. And, I really did, like, oh my God, like, what would they think about me because I pushed them away? What would they think about me because I'm blocking them and I'm doing something different than what I would normally? Because I had to literally become selfish, should I say. And I had to become selfish to a point. And this is not applying to everybody, because there's been those group of people out there who has been selfish. And there's this group of people out there who has been selfish, but they've been selfish towards the wrong people. But they've been open armed towards the people who weren't who wasn't of good benefits to them, in a sense. So in other words, it's almost like who you should have been resistant towards, you weren't, but who you resisted, that's the person or the thing that has your best interest at heart, or is going to help you get to where you need to go. So I know a lot of people had been finding themselves dealing with this, and yeah. Okay, let me finish. We are frightened about what might happen if we do get what we want and ask for what will people think? Okay, sorry. Will we lose our friends and family if we rise? Will it all be for nothing if we try and fail? But we must be willful and we must have courage. We must repeat to ourselves, this is what I really want for me. Yes, I am worth it. And then we stand up straight and put on our crowns of sovereignty of our own lives and go to battle. So this goes with the sovereignty card, as well as the masculine card. And time to stand up. Time to stand up. What was I getting ready to say? Oh, so yes, I want to give y'all a quick look. Somebody that I know of, right? So I want to tell you, this is a classic example. Thank you, Spirit, for bringing it to my attention. This is a classic example of, let me say, some of you guys may have been finding yourself dealing with a situation that you may have been putting some people up on a pedestal that that you really felt like they deserve to be there. Like, you really, and I think I said this some time ago, you really value their input, you value the information that they gave you, but rather than really thinking for yourself, you give your power away when you fully allow somebody to just come in and say, hey, blah 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 blah. Yeah, like, and you believe everything that they say. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says test the spirit. We have to test. Let me see if I can pull it. We have to test the spirit, you know? Like, I know for myself, I test every single thing. And like, for me, I'm learning how to do kind of the opposite in a sense. Like, I test everything to the point that sometimes I can block myself because I overly test everything, and I need to balance that out. And I say all that to say, well, there's some people who don't test anything at all, but they just think that because somebody's spitting a little bit of wisdom, or they're spitting a little bit of knowledge, or because they're speaking a certain way, like, you know, like that means that they know more than them. No, absolutely not. I try to tell my kids all the time, I don't exactly speak, you know, what some people may say. I probably won't speak like exactly like, first of all, let me say this. I am college educated, okay? Let me say that first and foremost. But do I speak like everybody else? I do not. And one thing about me, for some particular reason, is it seems like every time even my kids try to correct me when I say stuff, it's like, okay, I hear you, you know, but I keep it moving, because it's almost like if I conform to, you know, because for me, it's like, I know I'm imperfect, period. You know, like I told you, the whole dyslexia thing, I came out about that, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, I say all that to say it's almost like a form of imperfection. You know, I'm not perfect. You know, none of us are perfect. So I learned to embrace the things that I'm not perfect at, and just say that's just who I am. So I say all that to say, me speaking clearly, you know, sometimes, one, I'm from the South, so therefore we tend to not necessarily speak clearly, you know, sometimes. But, you know, then you have those cases where, you know, there are people who from the South who choose to try to speak, you know, clearly, but I just choose to embrace who I am, and that's just who I am. So if I try to correct things about me now, if I intentionally sat down and said, hey, you know, that I really want to correct some of the things that I want to say, I'm doing it because I want to do it, and not because somebody else is telling me that I'm not saying something correct. So I say all that to say, you know, there may be times that I stumble over a word here, or I stumble over a word there. I'm not catching a word. That's fine too. But, you know, then there's times during these Mercury retrogrades that things definitely do become crosswire. You know, it's just almost on top of the dyslexia. I'm sorry. And then Mercury retrograde doesn't help, because, and then it's like, I stumble over some of the words that I'm saying, because Mercury, for me, it affects my communication. So I say all that to say, I just learned to embrace that. And I can't sit on this side of the camera and worry about what anybody is thinking of me. I have to be true to me. You know, is there always room to improve? Yes, absolutely. But if the improvement comes, it's because I want it to come, and not because somebody else is telling me that I need to, you know, improve certain things. Because I just try to embrace myself the way that I am, you know. Again, but like I said, we can all improve in due time, you know, if we choose to, or whatever the case may be. But other than that, I don't know. But so yeah, y'all, just keep in mind, like I said, you know, some of you guys are just looking at some of the stuff that you built for yourself, and just know that that same energy that you put out is definitely coming, you know, back to you. And don't forget the karmic trenches. It's like God has something over here for you, but some of you keep digging over here, and, you know, whether that be friends, addictions, you know, addictions to whatever, food, whatever, you know, jobs, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that God is just trying to get you to listen to. Anyway, y'all, I hope that information was helpful for y'all. I really do. But all I can just say is, until the next prophetic message, just be mindful. And let me say this. Thank you, Spirit. Let me say this. During this holiday season, if you can, because I know some people celebrate holidays and some people don't, and that's fine too. But, you know, usually, well, let me say this, okay? So first of all, you know, I never really believed it. You know, they refer to Saturn as Santa Claus, right? The planet Saturn. So because he come bringing gifts or whatever those gifts may be. But let me say this. So last year on December 24th, right? Let me give you my quick testimony. Believe it, it's real, right? So God had appeared to me in a dream, right? And I lie to you not, out back of my house, I saw the snow sled with Santa Claus on it, right? And don't forget, I'm not talking about like Santa Claus, because don't forget Saint Nick was black anyway. So I say all that to say the point of the matter that I'm trying to make is that I literally, God showed it to me in the form of a sled, reindeers, and Santa Claus was out back, right? And I saw him going up in the sky, right? So I give you a classic example. My neighbor, it's almost like she was operating, or they had been operating out of their, it's almost like, okay, thank you, Spirit. Okay, so again, I'm just giving you guys an example. So it's almost like they are sowing what they have been reaping. So again, remember, stuff that you've been trying to accumulate and collect. So if you've been somebody that's just been trying to tap into other people's energy and see what it is that they got going on, trying to take, steal, you know, and if it don't belong to you, you shouldn't even be trying to do it. And you know that this is the energy that's coming back. Okay, see, that's the energy that's coming back. See how the wands is kind of facing him? But and it's funny because I didn't do it this way, but it ended up this way, but they're facing at him. So I say all that to say that I saw the reindeer, I saw the sled, I saw Santa Claus, right? And I saw him going up into the sky, right? He wasn't down on the ground, but he was just already up in the sky, and he was just like going further up. And I lie to you not, I saw a present fall out of the sled, right? And it landed just outside of my neighbor's backyard, right? Just outside of the backyard. And you know what happened? Next thing you know, I was wondering to myself, oh, a present dropped. And I was, because this was in my dream, right? And see, I shared this last year. Well, I don't even think I shared this part last year, but I don't know if I shared it on Patreon or if I don't think I shared it, because back then I wasn't really doing too many full videos. Anyway, so with that being said, I saw a present drop out of the sled. As it dropped out of the sled, it fell just outside of their backyard. And then after it fell outside of their back gate, next thing you know, I saw the devil climbing over their backyard. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what the fuck? And then he had his little pitchfork and he was climbing over their gate and like going into their house or whatever. So, and ever since then, I was like, oh, what did that mean? And then, you know, as time had went on, I didn't understand. But, you know, as time had went on, I started to understand. I was like, oh, I was like, God was just like delivering like all of that karma, things that they were sowing, should I say. So I want to tell you that the shit is real. And I say all that to say that, you know, just be mindful of, you know, including myself too. Like my biggest problem lately has been, you know, and if I can just be honest, I don't want to keep rambling on, but my biggest problem lately has been not trusting people, you know. So I keep people out because I don't trust them, you know. And not only that, because it's like I can see what I see, but it's like I'm trying to balance at the same time of reminding myself that these people are human too and that they make mistakes. But at the same time, I'm trying to protect myself and keep myself protected as well too, so that way that people aren't, you know, kind of like what we just talked about with this masculine card, protecting yourself. So it's almost like me protecting myself as well as my family, you know, in a process, because, you know, spiritually, I didn't grow up on this. I went to church, but I did not know about all of this stuff spiritually, where there's other races and nationality of people who are quite aware of how energy and spirit works, that to the point that it's almost like that's where the manipulation comes in at, because, you know, you don't say anything, but you do stuff and people don't realize that you're doing it. But now that I am able to see the things that they're doing, it's almost like, you know, me just like, and I have to, as an example, I have to learn to release and let go, and knowing that, you know, God is going to allow that karma to come back, you know, to those people who are trying to, again, tap into other people's energy fields and or trying to see spiritually in regards to what blessings and stuff they have. You know, I think if people took the time to focus on their own blessings, they probably will find out that they have some blessings sitting there instead of worrying about what other people got going on. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I wish you all much love, much light until the next prophetic message. I say stay blessed. Try to stay connected to the Most High, and more importantly, just if there's something you don't understand, just ask him. He'll reveal it to you. Ask him to give you a sign. He'll give you a sign. You know, you just got to pay attention to. It may not come in a form that you want, but just pay attention to the little subtle, details of it. You know, for me, sometimes I'll see a penny or I'll see a feather, as I said before, or I'll ask God to show me, 3 red cars or whatever the case may be, just to make sure that I'm in alignment, or whatever it is that I have a question for, that I need an answer for, that I haven't received one right away. Just like at first, I didn't even understand how I had to ask and dig. And it's like sometimes God had led me to a video. Sometimes God led me to somebody's talking on that topic. Or sometimes he led me to read something. So it can come in all shapes or forms. So just stay open and don't think that it just may come in a form of how you think that it may come. Just stay open and, and just allow it to flow, and just listen and wait, and you'll get an answer. Anyway, y'all stay blessed, stay prayed up. And just remember, even if things do start to get a little tighter, just know that God has your back, and he will be with you, because as I said before, there was once upon a time, 2019 and 2020, I went through a period of really feeling that energy of, what do I want to say? Lack? Do I want to say lack, or I want to say feel like I fell from grace? Because like I said, money was tight. Not only was money tight, money didn't flow in. And it's not just because I was just blocking myself, but some certain things is contributed to your life path, and things that you were meant to experience to help you to grow as well too. So yeah, so I understand what that's like. I understand what having like $2 or $3 in your bank account and try to figure out of buying something and not, allowing it to go over $3 for having enough for it. So I totally understand, and I get it. I've been there. I've done that. So God wouldn't allow me to be where I'm at right now, because he knows that I've been there and done that. And I would have empathy for somebody else who is also experiencing the same. So anyway, but the one thing that I am still working on, y'all, is the fact of I don't have tolerance for people who want to take from people. That is a big pet peeve of mine, who want to take and steal from people. That's a big pet peeve of mine, and I'm working on that. So anyway, that's just me being honest. Because I know I would work for things, so I don't go around taking things from other people, nor do I try to see what they have, trying to tap into their life to see what they have spiritually, because I don't know what they had to go through to get that. And that's the one thing that you have to realize and remember. You don't know what that person had to go through, and if you sitting up there, and I can definitely tell you this, God said no shortcuts, because I did a prophetic message on that some time ago, where there were people trying to take shortcuts, and he was like, nope, nope, you need to go the long route. You can't just try to catch up with other people and think that you're going to run that race like that. No, you need to start exactly where they start at and go through everything that they have been through, and that's just how it's going to be. There's no shortcuts. And I had to figure that out myself too, in the beginning when I first became certified in, in a different trade, should I say. It is just like, I thought I was just like, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm just rambling. I just thought I was just going to be like, okay, I'm going to start, doing this and making money. And I was like, it was like a news flash for me. It's like, that's not what you're going to do. Because one thing about me is, I'm always going. So I say all that to say I had to learn to slow it down a little bit. So when I literally had to learn to release control, because I thought I was always in this mindset of going. Like I said before, me and my family, at the time when my spouse was here, we would all sit down and watch a movie, and I would get up and try to find something to do, because I always been in that habit of doing something, keep busy, and it's almost like God was trying to erase me of all of that, like sit down, sit still. So there was plenty of times back in, like, let's just say 2018, 2019, I might have sat out on my patio and I might have just cried in the summertime. It was hot outside, but I just might have just sat there and cried. And it's fine because I had to purge, but God was just trying to put me at that standstill to say, no, learn to sit still. We're no longer in those energies that you got to do this and do that, and chase down money. Money's going to chase you down. So we're in different times, different mindsets. And the card said it too. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. So God is just trying to erase and break everything down and allow some of us to fall from grace so that we can be rebuilt back up, so that we not the same person that we once was when we fell down and have the same mindsets. Because like it said, the karmic trenches, you can't take the old into the new. That's not going to work. So anyway, stay blessed. Remember, always keep God first and foremost. Until the next prophetic message, I wish you all much love, much light. And I say peace and blessings. Bye.